I recently did a video regarding the benefits of buying a hybrid Toyota versus a non-hybrid. I'm going to put a link to that video in the description below. But a lot of the viewers and customers have been asking me to do a video on the benefits of buying a non-hybrid Toyota versus a hybrid Toyota. And I got to be honest, it took me some time to scrounge up whatever benefits I can possibly gather pertaining to buying a non-hybrid Toyota vehicle against the hybrid equivalent. Here it goes. All right, let's get to the most obvious and the most talked about conversation about getting a non-hybrid Toyota versus a hybrid, and that is pertaining to the wait times. Yes, almost every model Toyota vehicle, when you're looking at the hybrid option and the non-hybrid, you can usually get the non-hybrid much faster. So if you're in a bit of a bind, if you're in a rental or you don't have a vehicle at all and you need something relatively quick, you're going to have to go with the non-hybrid option. For example, the Toyota Highlanders. If you go with a non-hybrid, you can probably get yourself one in just a few months or less. If you go with the hybrid option, for sure you're going to be north of 12-month wait time. On the RAV4s, same idea. The non-hybrid can probably get it in a couple of months, 4 months, 5 months, depending on the trim, package, and color configuration. But on the hybrid, it's a completely different story. So if you're time pressed and you need something quick, you're going to have to go with the non-hybrid option. That is the biggest advantage from going hybrid versus non-hybrid. All right, I'm going to go over this next benefit just for fun. And that is because if you go with the non-hybrid option, then down the road, there's no possibility of you having to replace any hybrid batteries. There's no extra battery or extra electric motor that would potentially one day maybe give you some issues and you'd have to replace that component. So you won't have to deal with that, of course, on a non-hybrid. So it's an added maintenance or cost down the road that you can avoid. But why did I say that I'm adding this topic just for fun? Because it's a fun topic or conversation. What do I mean by that? Well, I've been here working with Toyota, specifically at Maple Toyota, and I don't think we've ever really replaced one battery on a hybrid vehicle. And I've said this before in other videos. It's extremely rare that we have to do that. And we get Camry hybrids, Sienna hybrids. We've got RAV4 hybrids that come in that are taxis, Uber drivers, hundreds and thousands of kilometers on them, and they're on their original battery. And we're a busy store. We're a large store. So I think the fear of having to replace a battery on a hybrid vehicle is valid. I understand, and I can see it as being a risk factor, but you got to look at the percentage of how frequently or often that happens in studies and in, just overall basic knowledge like the one I'm sharing with you now. 16 years here working with Toyota, and I've really never heard of us replacing any batteries on any hybrid vehicles. In fact, we may have had to have done one, but I believe that was because the customer tried converting the vehicle or the hybrid system into something else and ended up damaging the electric motor or the hybrid battery system. So in turn, we had to replace it and fix it for him. But otherwise, they're Toyota vehicles, guys, extremely reliable. And Toyota's been playing with the hybrid technology since the late 1990s with the first Toyota Prius. So we've got a lot of history in what we're currently doing. Oh, and by the way, I did do a dedicated video on what the hybrid battery replacement cost could look like if you ever had to replace it on your hybrid Toyota. I'm going to put a link to that video in the description below as well. Going back to the first benefit, which is the overall wait time, which is incredibly less on the non-hybrid Toyotas versus the hybrid, there's something else that is less when you're going with the non-hybrid option, and that is the price tag. Specifically, if you compare MSRP to MSRP of a non-hybrid Toyota versus a hybrid, you will generally save a few $1,000s depending on the model and trim. For example, the RAV4 hybrid versus the non-hybrid. The hybrid option is generally around $2,500 to $3,500 roughly more than the non-hybrid. So if you're a little bit pressed in your finances and you don't want to spend much on your next new vehicle, and money is something that you definitely want to consider in terms of budgeting, then yes, the non-hybrid option might be right for you. And the same thing goes through for most of, actually all of the Toyota model lineups in terms of vehicles and trims. The hybrid is always more expensive or pricier than the non-hybrid. In terms of benefits of buying a non-hybrid Toyota versus a hybrid, that's really all that I can come up with. I think the hybrid option is still the way to go if you're looking at a model that has hybrid as an option. There's a lot of websites, forums, social media content spreading a lot of other information that's not entirely true, at least for the Toyota world. Like, I've seen websites and forums list the pros and the cons of buying a gas vehicle versus a hybrid vehicle. And in the pros section of the gas, it says that there's more power, more torque, better acceleration on the gas model. That's completely wrong. That is not true. That is not accurate, at least for the most part, on almost all of our hybrid Toyotas. If you're driving a hybrid Toyota, you know what I mean, especially if you came from a non-hybrid. The hybrid options definitely have a better feel on the gas pedal, a faster response, quicker acceleration, and that is all due to the immediate response of torque from the electric components, electric motors that are in the hybrid powertrain system that you don't have with the non-hybrid option. So to say that there's more power and more pickup, better acceleration, better drive with the non-hybrid is completely not accurate, unless you're talking about some other brand or manufacturer that I'm not aware of. There's also other information on some other forums or the same forums and websites saying that the hybrids have more expensive and pricier maintenance cost overall when compared to the non-hybrid. Again, going with the pros and the cons, it'll say that the gasoline engines and gasoline powertrain systems are easier and cheaper to maintain. Well, what is that based on? Because I can tell you, again, 16 years here working with Toyota, we have proven track records showing that the routine maintenance, wear and tear items, specifically tires, brakes, so on, they last longer on the hybrid Toyotas versus the non-hybrid. And there's a couple of reasons why. Mainly, you have a combustion engine only on the non-hybrid. Sometimes it's combined with a turbocharger or whatnot. Whereas on the hybrid option, you've got your combustion engine, then you've got a electric motor with a battery. And what I'm trying to tell you is that your combustion engine isn't always working hard. It sometimes gets a break and the electric motor kicks in terms of heating. A lot of stuff wears and tears a lot more when it is heated or overheated. For example, on the non-hybrid Toyota RAV4s, you might have heating and hotter, higher temperatures in the engine and in a lot of the components because it's always working hard to achieve your speed, to achieve your acceleration. Whereas on the hybrid option, it's not always the case because you've got your electric motor and your electric hybrid powertrain system assisting that combustion engine. So it's not always stressed, not always working. But irrelevant of what I'm saying, like I said, if you own a hybrid Toyota and you've had a non-hybrid Toyota, you'll know what I'm talking about. It seems like you're going further and further on your original brakes, further and further on your original tires. So I would say it's definitely a myth that the non-hybrid Toyotas have a cheaper, less expensive overall routine maintenance and wear and tear cost than the hybrid. Oh, and by the way, I'm sitting in a 2024 Grand Highlander Hybrid Platinum, which, if you know your Toyota product, you can only get if you're going with a hybrid option. You can't get this beautiful Platinum with a Portobello interior on a non-hybrid Toyota Grand Highlander. So many benefits of going hybrid, but of course, it's not for everyone. So the non-hybrid option is there, and as you can see from reviewing this video, there are proven benefits and advantages to going non-hybrid. So whichever model you choose, I hope this video was of help and you enjoyed it. We'll catch you in the next one. Take care.